8-ball shot where we're in a bad situation. We're pretty badly snookered. We have no direct shot of the pocket. But we can employ a special swooping and cue twisting method to get this 8-ball to curve into the side pocket. So I'll demonstrate that. So I'm going to twist my cue in while swooping my arm out. From behind, you can clearly see the required twisting and swooping technique. Here's another 8-ball example where we can use the special swoop and cue twist method to bend this 8-ball around an obstacle ball into the corner pocket. Well, I hope you didn't believe all that nonsense about a swooping stroke and a twisting cue. I was just pulling your leg. Actually, I was trying to make a point. Some people actually believe that those techniques are useful. In case you hadn't figured it out, I was using a weighted 8-ball. The 8-ball had a weight on one of the numbers. So if the ball was rolling this way, the weight would make it curve towards the weight. Some people think the backhand swoop method allows them to apply more English to the cue ball. I personally think this is a little ridiculous, but some people are pretty convinced that it does work. One thing it can do is help a person compensate for squirt if they haven't already done so with their aim. Because when you swoop the backhand, it's actually changing your aiming line of the cue. And if your bridge length happens to be at the natural pivot length of your cue, that pivot will give you the correct amount of squirt compensation. An alternative is to aim with the tip offset you desire and adjust your aiming line for the amount of squirt the cue is going to produce, and use a more standard, repeatable, and consistent stroke to apply the amount of English you want. You can get much more English and much more repeatability using this method. I think cue twisting is even more ridiculous. For one, it's almost impossible to keep your cue in a straight line when you pivot your wrist. Also, there's no physical benefit to doing so. Some people might think that if you twist your cue during impact, you might be able to impart a small amount of corkscrew or masse spin to the cue ball. And they might think that if the cue ball has that spin when it hits the object ball, it might spin transfer a little bit of that masse spin to the object ball, which would cause it to turn. Well, that might sound reasonable, but we cannot get significant spin on the cue ball, and even less would transfer to the object ball. And again, it's very difficult to control your tip placement due to the wrist motion. So that approach obviously does not have merit. Now, what it might do to some people on some shots is the wrist twist might make them apply English depending on which way they twist their cue. If they twist one way, it might redirect their cue to the left slightly. If they twist the other way, it might redirect their cue the other way. So they might be unintentionally applying English to the ball. And that may fool them into thinking that effect is important. But a better approach would have been just to aim with the English you need for the shot and have a repeatable, consistent stroke.